Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at the FAQ for White Flare, and we are going to split this into two. We're going to have White Flare and Black Bolt. We're starting off with White Flare today. Now, these are rulings which have come out over in Japan, but I would expect some of these, if not, well, at least the most important ones, will be in our FAQ. As a side note, the Japanese FAQs do tend to be a little more extensive than the English language ones. But if you're going to play the game, you need to know the rules, so let's start off having a look at Hilda. Hilda is a supporter card that lets you search your deck for an evolution card and an energy, and put them into your hand, an evolution Pokemon. Can I choose a special energy? Yeah, it just says energy. Can I add a Pokémon EX to my hand? Yeah, as long as it's an evolution Pokémon EX, absolutely you can, no issues here. Now, Clown is one of the most fun cards to come out of White Flare. It's a shuffle draw for both players, and then you flip a coin. If heads, you get 5, they get 3. If tails, you get 3, they get 5. What if you've got 0 cards left in your deck? Fine. As long as one player has a card left in their deck, you can use this. What if my opponent has 0 cards in their hand? Can I use this? I mean, you can, but then you're giving them a bigger hand than they had before. So we got the new tool card, Brave Bangle, lets you do 30 more 2 EXs. So let's say I've got an Aerodactyl and I'm attacking with that with a Brave Bangle. Aerodactyl, remember, has got Devolution Ray, which puts a higher stage evolution back into your opponent's hand. And let's say we're going against Eldegoss EX. Brand new Eldegoss coming in here. Well, what happens? Do you get the extra 30 damage, or does the devolution stop it? No, you get the extra 30 damage, then it devolves, job's a good un. What if you're using Watchog here, and that's got an attack whereby you do nothing, but on your next turn, then the second attack becomes 240. Well, how much does it do next turn if I got a Brave Bangle? 270. You would do 240, this ups it by 30, boom, job's a good un. Now, one very important one, you've got a Durant here, and Durant's got an attack that does 20 damage, but if you've got a Durant on your bench, then it does an extra 20. What if you've got a Durant EX on your bench? No, because Durant and Durant EX have different names. That's very, very important. What if I've got new Zebstrika? There's a new Zebstrika here. And what if I use a new Zebstrika and I do 100 damage plus 30 to the bench? But my opponent has got themselves a Klinklang, which reduces damage done to your Pokemon with Metal Energy by 20. What if I've got 2 Metal Energy? No. It's not reduced by 40. It reduces by 20 if you have a Metal Energy on. It does not reduce by 20 for each Metal Energy on. It's 20 or nothing. Never mind, eh? Speaking of Klinklang, what if instead of having 2 energy on, I've got 1 energy on, but 2 Klinklang? Will that work? Yes. Yes, it will. You will get the minus 40 because each of the Klinklang's abilities work once. It doesn't say it doesn't stack, so it absolutely does. Okay, so let's say, sticking with Klinklang, I've got a Genesect down. It's being protected by Klinklang. It's getting minus 20, but it's getting minus 20 because of a Prism Energy. Prism Energy, of course, when attached as a Metal Energy. Cobalion attacks and discards the Prism Energy. Does it do 20 damage or does it do no damage? Does no damage. And the thing here is, you do the attack, then discard the Prism Energy. After the attack concludes, the Prism Energy goes away and the minus 20 is removed. But that's fine, because you've already done the minus 20 before the energy was removed. Well, we got a new Ferrothorn for a single energy. Does 20 damage for each energy attack to this Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Well, what if I put an Ignition Energy on there, which counts as free energy when attached to an evolution Pokemon? Can I do 80? Yeah. It's 20 per energy, not 20 per energy card. That is very, very different. Now, here's a very fun ruling you should definitely be aware of. There's a new Hydreigon, right? It's got an ability, when you knock out a basic Pokemon by damage dealt by this Pokemon's attack, take an extra prize. Well, what if you use that technical machine that lets you do 100 damage to the bench? Can you take an extra prize there if you knock out a basic? Yes. It's an attack used by Hydreigon. It KOs a basic. Doesn't matter that it's a TM. It still totally works. What if I knock out a basic EX? Do I take 3 prizes? Yes. Obviously you do. What if I KO an old Amber? Do I take 2 prizes? Yes. Because it is a Pokemon. You get a prize when you KO it. Ergo, you KO it with Hydreigon. It counts as a basic Pokemon. It totally works. We have a new Archops, which has a really nice ability, which lets you devolve one of your opponent's Pokemon once per turn. Very good. Well, if you use this to devolve a Pokemon such that it gets KO'd, can we then use Terrakian's Revenge attack to do an extra 80 damage? No. Terrakian's Revenge does an extra 80 damage if one of your Pokemon was knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's previous turn. Therefore, it wasn't KO'd by any damage, so it doesn't work. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Gothitelle's got a very nice ability whereby you can make your opponent shuffle draw 3. Well, what if their opponent's got 0 cards in their hand? Can you make them shuffle their hand of 0 and draw 3 cards? You can, and sometimes that will be beneficial. Most of the time, I'd suggest maybe you probably shouldn't. Now, Cofagrigus, really nice attack here for 2 energy. Lets you move all damage counters from one of your bench Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you got a Brave Bangle, do you get to move 3 extra damage counters? No! Damage and damage counters are not the same. You are moving damage counters here, and therefore it doesn't work. Can you use Klinklang to reduce 20 damage from the damage being moved over? No! Because Klinklang stops damage. This is not damage, this is moving damage counters. So, yeah, gutted. That ability will not work. What about the new Crustle? It's got an ability whereby if it's got full HP and it would be KO'd by damage from an attack, it doesn't get knocked out, it goes to 10 HP remaining instead. Nope. Because unfortunately what Cofagrigus does here is not damage, it is moving damage counters, and that's the big theme of all of this. Klinklang doesn't protect because it's damage counters, not damage. Brave Bangle doesn't work because it's damage counters, not damage. Crussle's ability doesn't work because it's damage counters, not damage. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. What if we take the new Stunfisk here? It's got single energy, 20 damage, but if it's got a fighting attached, it does 40. What if you have a Prism energy on there? Yeah. If it said you had to have a basic fighting, it wouldn't work, but it doesn't, and when attached, Prism is a fighting energy. You good. Now, one that we've seen before, but I've seen a lot of people get wrong, Keldeo's got an attack that does 30 damage, but if it went from the bench to the active this turn, you add 90. Well, what if you put it active after a KO? Does it get the extra damage? No, because you're not actually getting it active during the turn. You are getting it active between turns. That is not the same. And something that makes me really happy, Ducklett has made it into the FAQ. Single energy, you get to discard a fire energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Terribly specific attack that's not going to be good, but if they've got a Prism energy, can you discard it? Yeah, I've been telling you about Prism energy this whole video. Prism energy counts as a fire energy when attached to any other kind of energy. So yes, you can use this to discard a fire energy, which as a side note does make Ducklett way better. Now, we've got an ability on the new Samurott here, which switches your active Pokemon with one of your bench, and then your opponent switches their active with a bench. Well, what if I've got no bench? Then you can't use this ability. You can't switch to the bench, and therefore the second half of the ability doesn't actually work. What if my opponent's got no bench? Then it's just a switch. You switch, then you go to switch your opponent. Oh no, I can't switch them. That's fine. Because you've done the first bit, you just can't do the second bit. Now, there is a Reshiram EX here. We like Reshiram. Free energy, 130, plus 50 for each prize card your opponent has already taken. And then you discard an energy from Reshiram. Well, what if your opponent hasn't taken any prizes? Do you still have to discard? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you still have to discard. That's just a thing which always happens. Now, we do have ourselves a new Heatmore here. Single energy. And what you do is you go and grab yourself 3 basic fire Pokemon of basic energy. Put it to your opponent, put them into your hand, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, what if there isn't enough in my deck? Can I not do it? Yeah, sure. And the answer here is really simple. Your deck is hidden knowledge. Your opponent isn't allowed to look in your deck, so they can't know that you don't have targets, so you're absolutely fine. Now, we've got ourselves a Levani here, which heals 100 HP from each of your basic Pokemon. What about fossils? Will this heal from fossils? Yeah, of course it will. We did this earlier. I already told you. Fossil Pokemon count as basics. You're good, ladies and gentlemen. You're good. Now, End's Plot is a very nice new card. And what this one does is you get to move 2 energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active. Can that include Ignition energy? Yeah, of course it can. End's Plot just says energy. It doesn't say basic. So you absolutely can here. Yay! Now, Haxorus has got an attack, free energy, instant KO on a basic Pokemon. The question is about whether fossil Pokemon count. You know the answer by now. We've done this twice. Yes, they are basic Pokemon. Yes, they will be one-hit KO'd. Good. Now, here's a fun one. Carracosta. Really nice ability that says it does not take damage or effective attacks from Pokemon with special energy attached. So let's say we got a Reshiram with a single Prism energy that attacks into Carracosta and discards that energy. Can you damage Carracosta? No. You do the attack. The attack does nothing because Carracosta is protected by the ability. Then you discard the energy. But by that point, the attack has already happened. It doesn't work. Boo, hiss, etc. Well, sticking with Carracosta, what if we've got Keldeo? Free energy, 120, not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So if Keldeo's got a Prism energy, can I attack Carracosta? Yes. That is the entire point of Keldeo's attack, is that it goes through things like this. So there we go. There's your White Flare FAQ. We'll be back with a Black Bolt FAQ soon. But now you know what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these rulings. Tell me which ones make sense. Give me any questions you've still got in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Danger Morales, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now, and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.